Keo from lifewithkeo.com, and this morning I'm going to show you how I canned my dried beans. Now the first question you might ask is why can your own dried beans? In my area it's really hard to get organic dried beans. I could probably order them on Amazon. I'm not sure the quality. I know the quality from this company I order from, Bread Becker's, is very high quality. This is where I order my wheat from that I grind. And I got 2-pound packages of the dried beans to try it out for the first time and see how I like them and use them in some different recipes. When I order them next time, I will probably order larger quantities so that I can get a cheaper price. 2 days ago, I ordered chickpeas, or canned chickpeas, and they ended up being $1.19 a can. My kidney beans, which I'll be canning today, they're going to be $2.15 a can, or jar. And yesterday I canned pinto beans, and these ended up being $1.46. I'm hoping today, later on today, to make a recipe of homemade baked beans and can those. So I'm excited to try that. The other reason that I like to can my own is because they end up in glass jars and not metal cans, so I don't have to worry about any leaching in the metal cans. Okay, let's get on to the supplies that you need. You'll need, of course, your beans. I soaked my beans in this bowl, again 2 pounds, and filled water almost all the way to the top, and I did use filtered water, not city water, so I didn't have to worry about ruining my organic beans. A colander. This is a jar lifter, and this helps you get the jars in and out of the hot water. Some type of slotted spoon. I used this. I think it came with a Fry Daddy or Fry Baby or something years and years ago. A ladle. Some type of wooden spoon. I use a little bit of vinegar in my canning water, and I'll talk about that a little while later. This little gadget helps you measure how much headspace you have in a jar. When you're canning, it'll usually tell you how much in your recipes, how much headspace you need. In these pint jars, I needed 1 inch of headspace, and as you can see, the beans have again soaked up some water, so they're actually taller than the 1 inch headspace. A funnel, and since my jars are wide mouth, I definitely need this wider opening funnel. This is a little magnet that helps me get my lids out of the water. A paper towel, of course your jars, and again I used pint jars, and out of my 2 pound of dried beans, I got 7 pint-sized jars of my finished beans. If you buy new jars, they'll come with these lids and with rings. You can only use the lids once, but you can reuse the jars and the rings. I have a little pot of water, which I put my lids in. A large pot to cook your beans in, and a pressure canner that I fill with my water and go ahead and turn on medium heat. I wanted to share with you, you can read on the internet different ways of how you have to clean your jars before you can with them. I always put my jars, lids, and rings in hot soapy water. Wash them off, rinse them off. Then I go ahead and put my jars in the canner on the stove and put a little bit of the water in the jars and keep those, and those will sterilize them. After I wash the lids, I go ahead and put them in a small pot of water on very low heat. There is a rubber part on these lids that once they go on the jars and into the pressure canner, those will melt and seal to the jar, and that's how you get your seal on your jars. Alright, so the next step is getting the beans started. Okay, once I have all of my supplies and everything started, I go ahead and put the items I'm going to be using in the canner, just so even though I've washed these off, I'm going to keep them in the water in the canner, just so they stay kind of sterile. I want to make sure that I don't get any germs or anything in my items. Oh, and I also usually have a towel. Okay, once you have your beans soaked overnight, what you're going to do is rinse them off in your colander. And then you're going to put them in your pot, cover them with water, bring them to a boil, and then you're going to turn them down to a low heat and let them simmer for 30 minutes, and then we're ready to start canning. Okay, all the jars are in the canner. I don't know if you can see this, but when I filled up this canner to begin with water, there's a mark that I fill it up to, that the manufacturer of the canner says to fill it up to when you're canning jars. Then I go ahead and add my vinegar, and what that does is it keeps film off of the jars and off of the lids. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and put my lid on and take this little vent cover off. The manufacturer of my canner says to be sure and check and make sure I can see through that hole that it's not blocked at all, and that there's a little rubber seal here that's good, that this can lift up and down, and there is a rubber gasket on the inside. Make sure that that's not hard or broken or chipped anywhere. Okay, so now I'm ready to put my lid on, and it slides that way. I'm going to leave that off. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn this on high, and once steam starts really coming out of this vent, I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 10 minutes and let that vent for 10 minutes. And what that does is it gets all the air out of the pressure canner, and then we're ready to start cooking. Okay, we're back. This is vented for 10 minutes. That means there is steam coming out of here. And as you'll see, this is popped up on mine. And once that has happened and it's vented, what that's doing is getting all the air out of the pressure canner. Now I just go ahead and put that on. What that'll do now is it'll start building steam in there. And once it gets to 11 pounds, then what you need to do is figure out where on your stove that you can set the temperature so that it stays right around 11 pounds. It can go up a little bit, cannot come down at all. Once it goes below 11 pounds, then you need to get it back up to 11 pounds and start your timing all over again. Now on my stove, I have a flat top stove, which they used to say you cannot do a canner at all, but now they're changing the information on that. I've been canning on my stovetop with a pressure canner for probably 2 years and never had an issue. I think the issue is the weight, and that's what you want to check on your information about your stovetop. All right, so I have it on high right now so that this will come up to 11 pounds. And once it comes up to 11 pounds, I put my temperature between 2 and 3. And I really watch my gauge a lot. I don't go off and leave it. And this has to be at 11 pounds for 75 minutes. I'm at sea level in Florida. If you check on the web, there'll be different charts, and I'll put that information down below, a link, so you can see what elevation you're at, how many minutes you need to let your pressure canner go. Once it's reach the 75 minutes, then I just turn everything off. Wait till this comes back to 0 and this little gauge right here goes flat. Then you can take the lid off. It still will be very, very hot. So what I do is I unlock the lid and open it so that it tips away from me, and let that set for just a few minutes. And then I'll take my cans out. All right, we're on our way to 11 pounds, and then it will cook for 75 minutes. Then we'll be back. Okay, we are done cooking. 75 minutes. The pressure has come down to 0 and this little plug has gone down. Now I can go ahead and slide this. And again, this is very, very hot, so I open it up away from me. Usually I let this set for a minute or so, but since I'm doing a video, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And then the jars, I usually dump. As you can see, it's still boiling in there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these for a few minutes. And then I'm going to set them on this towel to cool off. And they're going to cool off overnight. And in the morning, I'm going to go ahead and check the seal. If I can press this and it clicks, then that has not sealed all the way. And then I can go ahead and take the rings off. They suggest that you not store your jars with the rings on them, because what that does is if the seal is not good, it'll keep that seal on there and you will think that the contents are okay, and they actually won't be. So you can store your jars without the rings, and that way if the seal is bad, you'll know it right away, and you can either use those items first or go ahead and throw them away. I hope you've enjoyed my video on how I can beans. Please visit me at lifewithkeo.com for lots of other instructionals and recipes. Thanks. Bye.